Fridays are awesome. This is CNN Student News. We're starting off today with a few stories that have a lot of people talking. First one involves Americans who've served in the military. The U.S. government requires Veterans Affairs hospitals to see patients in a timely manner. But across the country, some vets have had long wait times. In Phoenix, Arizona, a retired doctor revealed that hundreds of sick veterans were put on a secret waiting list. It hid the fact that they were forced to wait months for health care. The doctor says at least 40 veterans died waiting. In the state of Georgia, the governor has signed a new gun law. It'll allow Georgians who are already allowed to have a concealed weapon to legally take that weapon into certain public places. This might include some bars, churches, government buildings, school zones, and certain parts of airports. Supporters call the law meaningful pro-gun legislation. Critics call it extremism in action. And in Brazil, the nation's army has occupied one of Rio de Janeiro's slums. There's been a surge in violent crime in certain parts of the city. And with the World Cup less than 2 months away, soldiers have joined police in trying to keep 3 rival gangs from attacks.
See if you can ID me. I'm a landmark in London that was first built in 1599, though I've been rebuilt a couple times since then. I'm closely associated with William Shakespeare because I'm where he staged his plays. I'm the Globe Theater, where Shakespeare was once an investor and an actor.
The man himself, the world-renowned playwright known as the Bard, was born 450 years ago this month. His Globe Theater burned down by accident during a play in 1613, was rebuilt the next year, then torn down decades later, then rebuilt in London again in the 1990s, as authentically as possible. As you might expect, this year is a big one for the Globe.
Face paints, bouncy castle, Punch and Judy, and of course a birthday cake. A lively approach to celebrating an age-old icon. Here at Shakespeare's Globe in London, it's all about maintaining a fresh and young legacy for the most famous playwright in history, whose works, 450 years later, still resonate with people young and old.
A person who wrote scripts and made plays.
Who's your favourite Shakespeare character?
Midsummer Night's Dream, Julius Caesar,
Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet.
To be or not to be?
Shakespeare's still young. Shakespeare doesn't feel old, he doesn't feel tired, he feels like he's still asking fresh questions, still giving fresh insights, still provoking fresh laughter.
The Globe is a theatre created specifically in Shakespeare's honour. Now, it's actually a modern reconstruction of the original building, which was built in Shakespeare's day. It's not just here in the UK, of course, that his legacy endures. Shakespeare's works continue to fill classrooms, theatres and cinemas across the world, all the way from his hometown in Stratford-upon-Avon to Hollywood.
Among the more famous examples, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. Attempts have even been made to put a value on Shakespeare's brand, with one study suggesting his commercial worth today would be over $500 million, 4 times the combined value of Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe.
The fact is, Shakespeare is really good at what he does. If you want to enjoy reading words put into a really interesting order, looking at patterns of human behaviour, going to the theatre and imagining yourself into a whole world, Shakespeare is going to provide that in ways that no other playwright or poet has done.
That global appeal is being reflected in the week's birthday celebrations, including a whole week-long dedicated conference in Paris.
As the birthday celebrations ricochet around the world, we continue to wonder and explore how one man's work has had such a profound effect. Here at the Globe in London, at least, many of the children seem to have it all figured out.
I like the way they talk, but I sometimes find it hard to understand.
What normally happens at the end?
People die.
Rosie Tompkins, CNN, London.
For today's roll call, we're starting a little ways east of Los Angeles, California. In Riverside, we've got the Rams watching CNN Student News. They're tuned in from Ramona High School. To the Heartland, in St. Mary's, Kansas, beware the Bears. You'll find them at St. Mary's High School. And in Ohio, at Clay High School, the Panthers are stalking our roll. Shout out to everyone at Portsmouth High School. Yesterday, we said that Wrigley Field in Chicago is America's oldest stadium. It's not. Wrigley was the last pro sports stadium to have lights installed, but Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts is the oldest. It opened in 1912, 2 years before Wrigley. Fenway's not only a park, it's a major tourist attraction for Boston, like the waterfront or the Museum of Fine Arts. And when there's an event that draws even more tourists, like the Boston Marathon, it's not only policemen and women who are helping keep the public safe.
Keep in mind, there's not one robot that meets every situation. The threats change, Iraq and Afghanistan. The needs have changed. Fukushima, Japan, Boston Marathon. It's constantly an evolving process. When you do have mass emergency response, things such as the Boston Marathon, there's lots of robots that are on scene. This is the 110 First Look. This was designed for tactical teams for quick reconnaissance. The coolest thing about this robot, it's throwable. This 5-pound robot has been used in Afghanistan for tactical situations. This is the 510 PackBot. This is designed to be one of the most versatile robots on the market today. It actually has 4 cameras on the robot, a gripper on the manipulator that allows it to lift objects as much as 30 pounds, look into windows or first floors. Really is a very versatile robot that can be used for a lot of applications. Robots have had a huge impact on the end user. 10, 15 years ago, that could have been an EOD tech. Now it's a robot. After the tragic events of the Boston Marathon, one of the trends that we're seeing is the demand for robots at worldwide large events. It's a great example of how robots are being utilized to provide security and emergency response. People typically think about robots, they're thinking about science fiction. They're thinking about the robots that we see in Star Wars. We actually have robots today, but they're practical robots. They complete tasks, they help people, they help save lives.
This will be one of those don't try it at home videos, but your home isn't at the top of the world's tallest building in the United Arab Emirates, and even if you are wearing a suit to school today, it ain't a wingsuit. No doubt those guys were off base, but why make that leap? Why take that plunge? Why delve into danger? You could jump to all kinds of conclusions, but I Guinness the record motivated them, and they certainly had the right altitude about it, even if gravity eventually got them down. I'm Carl Azus. That's my jumping off point for the weekend. Wishing all of you happy landings.